Welcome to season 10 of the Parenting Aces podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Stone, and we are coming at you from San Clemente, California. We are proud members of the Tennis Channel Podcast Network and excited to have former ATP Tour player Daniel Yu joining us this week for the podcast. We've been trying to get Daniel on for months, but this man is busy. Not only is he working in Florida at the Todd Widom, not a tennis academy, but he is also training Soonwoo Kwon. So he's been busy with that, busy training juniors and busy having a life. And so I'm really excited to get him on the podcast this week. He is coming at us from actually Todd Widom's couch, I think. So it should be a fun conversation. Before I bring Daniel on, I want to just do a quick reminder. If you haven't become a premium member of Parenting Aces yet, please go to parentingaces.com, click on the join button and sign up. Also, if you are listening to this podcast and would like to watch the video version, you can do that on our website as well, parentingaces.com, or on the Parenting Aces YouTube channel. Now, without further ado, I'm going to bring Daniel on. Hopefully, this is always like my trickiest thing, getting the technology right now that we're on Zoom. And Daniel, you're still muted. So I'm going to get you up. There you are. Hey, great to see you.
Good to see you too.
So it's the end of a long day. We're recording this on a Friday evening, Florida time. So the end of a long day, the end of a long week, but you look fresh as a daisy. So glad to have you on and so excited to hear your thoughts on training junior players and how you use your experience as a tour player to help these kids develop their game to their highest potential. So why don't you give us a little bit of background, Daniel? I know you come from Korea, but did a lot of training here in the States as a kid. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
I mean, I came to the States when I was 12 years old. I went to the military for a year and a half, and my family moved to Miami. So I follow with my family there, and I got to meet Pierre and Todd when I was 15. And since then, we've been playing tournament each other and training together, pretty much grow up together. So, I mean, I had some great junior time in Florida. Won the Super National Clay Court, finished top number 1 in Florida, finished like top 3 in the nation. So, had some professional tour and Korea for 2 years of Army there with the sports Army there. And yeah.
What does that mean, the sports army in Korea? I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, just, all the Korean people, the citizen, the male has to go to the army for 2 years. But if you're good enough to get that ranking high enough, you could, end up going to the sports army. Only 4 people is allowed to go each year, but I was good enough to go. I was good enough, in the ranking. So I was there for 2 years and had some great experience.
So does that mean that you continued your training? Would it be like going to college here in the States, or?
Yeah, it's a little different, because we can use a phone or other stuff, but yeah, we are able to train every single day. And we play for the army. It's just, we for 2 years we represent them. So we go play the tournament. We have the mark that sports army here. So yeah, it works like that.
And you play. You play only within Korea, or you were able to travel and play with the sports army team?
Just travels in Korea, just in Korea. We couldn't go around the world. So for 2 years I was there, and after I was released from the army, I went to the city team. We have a lot of team competition in Korea. So I was there, and for was it like another 5 years, and after that I retired. I came to the States in 2020.
Wow. And so how old were you when you went into the sports army?
I was what, 20, 28, 29, I think.
Oh, okay.
Pretty late. I was the last guy to go there with my age, but I had some great experience there. I learned lots of discipline and the teamwork, and yeah, this consistently like working hard every day. But yeah, it helps in my life. It was good.
Did you always know that you wanted to coach?
Yeah, I mean, being a tour coach was one of my pretty much dream. 'Cause I've been traveling a lot by myself, and I know how tough it is. Like getting a flight ticket, the expenses, and having a coach in tour is really important and all that. And one day when I'm done with this, I wanted to help. I wanted to help that, the path I actually went through, and you're helping sooner. So I'm really happy for that.
So what is your day-to-day like now? I know you're based in Florida and you work with Todd and with the kids he trains with. Are you on the road with Soonwoo too?
Not right now. We're our season is is over this year. Sunu right now is in Korea. He's getting a rehab for the shoulder, for about 5 to 6 weeks, and then he's gonna come over for the winter training, end of November. So pretty much right now for me, it's like having a vacation for a month. So I'm kind of pretty happy, and I'm helping Todd, time to time if I can. So yeah.
So let's talk about how you transition from a tour player and then basically a team player, a club player, now into coaching, and you're working with juniors. You're also working with a professional player. What are some of the lessons that you took from your own playing experience that you use now as a coach with these young players?
I think the difference is, I mean, most big difference I think is mentality and being a mature on court. You see, like even on tours, there's a lot of the players who's 17, 16 years old, but they're so mature themselves on court. It's crazy. Like they could compare with the pros. Like they don't, go down easily. They always fight for every point, and discipline, very disciplined. The way how they play. But when I was teaching juniors, there's a lot of times that they can't control their feelings. A lot of times, they break down, and they get mad, and like they just rally. But sometimes they miss one ball, they just already like throwing a racket already. Like it's out of control. But like the progress is not, I don't think there's a big difference between junior and pros, but the quality, there's a lot of big difference in the quality. Like, let's say we're hitting for 10 minutes, in pros that, there's really high intense of focus of hitting balls, but juniors, they lose that focus after, 3-4 minutes out of 10 minutes. So you just gotta, get them that, we trying, I'm when I helping juniors, I always trying to get them put, even working for 5-10 minutes, that quality, that the being a mature on court, just being focused and playing through the practice.
Did you always understand when you were a junior player that mentality, that intensity that was necessary to be successful, or was it something you had to be taught or to learn?
Well, I mean, I felt it when I was younger, when I was getting better, and when I was going from 15 to 16. I improved a lot from 16 to 17 when I met Pierre, and that I could tell my tennis was changing. Like when I was focusing and all that, when I was training myself on court, I knew I was getting into another level. So, but you know how difficult it is to control that on court. But every day I was just trying to find being consistently and trying to be disciplined myself, and it was working. And the juniors needs to know that, if they can do it one day, that's fine. Another day, it doesn't happen in one day to, make it habit yourself. So just each day, consistently, and it will happen, after month, 2 months, you will see your game will change.
Do you view the development of the strong mentality portion of the game the same way you view the development of the strokes or the understanding of tactics, in that it's these small incremental improvements day by day? Because one of the things that I've learned through these podcasts and talking to coaches over the years is, if the goal could be that every time you get on the court, you want to get 1% better that day. Mm-hmm. Is it the same with the mental side, that you have to improve in small increments? It's, as you said, it's not just going to boom happen overnight.
Yes, of course. It doesn't happen like you say. It doesn't happen like that. So sometimes you have a good day, sometimes you have bad days. Obviously, when you have a good day, it's so much easier. You could just focus better. Everything is okay. But even in pros, they don't have a good day. They don't play best their tennis every day. Sometimes they have rough days. Sometimes they feel tired, but it's their job. So when they're on the court, they finish their work. They finish what they have to do. If they have to work on their ground stroke, forehand, backhand, they finish each things that they have to do. They don't just, oh man, I don't feel it, throw the racket, goes away. No, they finish what they have to do, even though they're not feeling it. And they go out, they understand, they absorb everything. One day, they play, terrible tennis. They're like, okay, that's fine. But they do their work, and the next day they come out, hey, it's a new day. Let's go. Right. Yeah. It's a little different.
How do you help junior players understand that? Because I think that's a huge challenge for kids.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's not easy. I've been there, I play myself junior here as well, but you just got to understand yourself. I think, you got to, maybe sometimes you when you play that, you got to kind of, look at it in a third way and, talk to yourself like, hey, what's going on? Just not, get furious just by your feeling, but, just kind of look at it and talk to yourself like, hey, what's going on? Why am I getting so mad at it? I'm here to work. Let's just stay cool. Let's just, think about it, like not just get mad, but use your brain, like talk to yourself as not as a person, but if you look at it in a third person, then you could understand, and you could actually, calm yourself down a little more,
Mm-hmm. So when you're working with junior players on the practice court, and let's say one of the players loses it, they just, they get angry, they're banging their racket, they're cussing, whatever they're doing. How do you as the coach handle that?
Well, I mean, I just tell them, hey, just come down. I mean, there's nothing to be mad at it. I know you play bad, all that, but hey, let's go over and, think about it. Why are you just, let's say, something, let's say he's forehand, something wrong with it. So you just keep shanking it. And, more you get mad, you're not going to be able to see your mistakes.
Right.
Your feel. So you got to just, calm yourself down first. And then just, when his head is cool down, I starting to talk to him. It's like, hey, what do you think that happened? And he's got to think, like if he's so angry that he just do it, he just tank the ball, the ball's everywhere. But first, he's got to cool down to understand. If he's hot-headed, then he cannot. He can absorb it, first. Right. Down, trying to, get him to understand.
So I know, just, from watching my own son go through this, that sometimes the anger just gets the best of you. And I mean, I even experience it playing women's league tennis, right? I'll play against somebody that just gets so angry that there's just no talking them off the ledge. Do you feel like your role as the coach during practices is to really help these kids start to recognize when their anger is getting out of control and developing some sort of, like warning system that they can use themselves, so that when they're playing a tournament and you're not able to pull them aside and say, hey, let's calm down, take a step, take a few deep breaths or whatever, that they start to develop those skills that they can implement themselves in a tournament situation.
Yeah, I mean, what was the, what was the question?
Well, do you feel like part of your role as the coach is to help these kids learn how to do this during practice, so that when they're in competition, they can do it without you being there to remind them?
Yeah, of course. I mean, in the practice, when they play a practice match, and they play great sometimes, and when they go into the match as a player, they get really tight because they want to win, that they want to win this match and all that. That actually causes your tennis level, like let's say you're 10 of, let's say you're like 10 right there when you practice, it goes down to like 5. So whatever, that you could, have, you could actually play great tennis, but because of that nervousness that, it comes down to 5. But to overcome that, you got to let go that fear and that you want to win. Like, you have to let the title go, and you have to respect your opponent, saying that, you know what, I respect him. Don't look at them as, oh, I gotta beat him, or if you look at their rankings, oh man, he's lower than my ranking, so I have to win. All that will cause, less of tennis. You gotta let everything go. You gotta respect your opponent. Doesn't matter who your opponents are, and then you gotta just go out there and you have to just play.
I love the whole idea of respecting the opponent. And I know Rafa Nadal talks about that a lot too. Like that, the word respect is something that comes up often in interviews with him. When you say respect, what do you mean? Because I know in different cultures, it means different things. And I'm curious what it means to you to respect the opponent.
A lot of juniors think that, when somebody is lower ranking than you, they think that they are worse player than you, so they don't accept if they win the point against you. Let's say they win a couple of games and stuff, and you're so mad, I can't believe I lose to some scrub. I hear that a lot from juniors. I'm losing to scrub, but that means that you're not respecting your opponent as as a good, I don't know how to say this, but like you're playing against your opponent, you have to let go of your title. Doesn't matter, you have to accept, absorb everything. Like, doesn't matter you lose or you win, you have to accept everything. You could lose and you could win, but you cannot just go in there and have that feel that, oh, I lose a couple of games against him because I'm a better player. You have to let go. You're in there with your opponent, as a player to player. You're in there to, playing tennis against him, not, oh, I'm better than him. No. You know what I mean?
What if you're playing someone who's ranked higher than you? What does respect mean then?
Sometimes when you play against higher than you, the lower guy actually respect that, and they say, oh, if I get a couple of games from him, I'm fine. They have that in juniors, but because that they play better, because they think, oh, losing to him is fine, because he's better than me. Even that, he's just a player to player. Sometimes you could have a good day, you could have a bad day. If he has a bad day, if I have a good day, then the match could be turned around. You never know what's going to happen. So you got to let everything go, and you have to just play tennis. You have to just play, and strategy, tactics, how you're going to play the next point, each game, each point, Does he like slice back? Does he like, higher, if he doesn't like hard, you got to think all those, not thinking about, oh man, I can't lose to him because I'm better, because they don't think about each point. You don't have time for getting mad or throwing rackets and get, all that. You only have next point. What's going to happen? What's, at 30 all, what are you going to play at, 4 all at 40-15, all that. You don't have time for throwing racket, get pissed off, for a game or two. Mm-hmm. In pro, that's very critical. You do that for one game, boom, you lose 4-6,
Right. How do you help juniors really understand that? Because when you say it, it's, nobody's going to disagree with you, right? I mean, it's logical, right? If you want to win, you've got to keep your head about you. You can't be bogged down in who's across the net. You just have to play your game and do your best out there. We all get that intellectually, but in the moment, when you're on the court and you are feeling that pressure, and it's very difficult to pull that up and say, okay, I got to calm down. I've got to refocus on what I'm here to do, what my job is. It's very difficult to get, especially younger kids who don't maybe have the emotional maturity yet to really understand that. All they know is they're frustrated. They're losing a match that they feel they should win, or they're missing balls they feel like they should, hit winners on.
I think that at the end, it's the experience. At the same time, it's a trust. Trusting the player and a coach. When coach is telling player, can you do this on a court? And the critical moment comes to you on that match. If you trust that, if you can just do it at one time, and you're gonna feel it. Like I said, it's the experience, And then each time you do it at that moment, he will overcome by himself every time. He will go, let's say you did it, that one match that at that moment came, and you try to do it and try to, think about, not getting mad or not frustrated, but trying to, go forward, not thinking about the past, but thinking about the president, what you're going to do next point, each point like that. It will not just, one match could help, but second, third, you will eventually get your mentally and the heart much stronger. This is what I saw from Soonwoo as well. We start off this January and he freaked out. He freaked out a lot because, he lost first round in Australia, to Kokinakis, which is, he was a great player. He was playing unbelievable at his house, at Australia. But, the momentum, everybody was cheering for him. So he couldn't really turn around the match, but he freaked out that match and previous match. He was so mad at that Ray and all that. I had to sit down with him. It's like, Soonwoo is okay. Just, that just, sometimes, you lose, sometimes you win, but why are you so mad about it? He's like, oh yeah, because the press, back then, the Korean, the press, everybody was going at us. He's like, oh yeah, he's got a new coach now. His results is going down, everything. I told him, hey, don't listen to them. We've been through a lot of progress. We worked hard, the whole situation. Let's look back the match and what happens and all that. And he took it. He understood, what he's a quick learner. So, and then after that, we went to Pierre, we went to the challenge, we went to play a challenger there, and boom, he changed it. He's like, what? Forget about everything. It's another new match, and right there, he won it. He won that tournament in February. From then, he was a little bit up and down, even in Miami, since in February, he did really well. And then March, he was good. We came back to play Miami, and he had another time. He was like, oh man, I can't hit a forehand. I'm shaking, he came again. But it's not just juniors, but pro as well. And I told him to getting that, what do you call it, like slump?
Slump.
Yeah, slump.
Bad times.
Yeah, having bad times. And I told him, slump doesn't come out techniques. It come out from the head and mentality. And you think that if he's bad and bad and bad, you will eventually come back. You're a professional tennis player. You've been doing this for over 20 years. You have it. Because I'm looking at it from the side. He's fine. But he feels like, oh man, my forehand thinks, it feels like, thin. I can't feel like I'm thinking through the ball. It's all up here, So that match was pretty interesting. He lost first set 6-7, 7-6, and 6-7.
Wow.
And that first set at 6-0 in the tiebreaker, he come up and it was like 3-0 or something, changing a side. He come up and said, Daniel, I can't hit a forehand. I can't play. I don't know what to do. I never see him does that. And I told him, hey, Soonwoo is fine. I don't care you lose a match. I don't care. Just go out there and just don't be afraid, just play. But he was so afraid to lose a match, whatever. He was like 6 feet, 7 feet behind the baseline, defending. And then he ended up losing the match. And after that, I talked with him. What happened? And he felt it. He was regretting that he didn't do stuff on the court that he should have been, and the opponent didn't play well too, but he ended up, but Ivashka, which is a great player, Ilya Ivashka, and he actually ended up winning a match, but he was being aggressive for every ball, trying to give Soonwoo pressure, even though he was missing ball, he was just coming in, giving a pressure. And Soonwoo after the match, he was like, you know what, I will not do this ever again. I will just forget about what happened. What, I'm gonna move on and then I'm not gonna think about my technique, whatever, shot. All I'm gonna think about is what I'm gonna do next, the strategy, what I'm gonna do, all that. So
what was his ranking at that point? Do you remember?
We started off 95 earlier the year. And when in Miami, it was like around 80, something like that. 80.
So the reason I'm asking is because I want the listeners to understand that you're talking about someone who is inside the top 100 on the ATP tour. This is a guy who's been playing tennis his whole life. He's earning his living playing tennis, and he has moments on the court where he forgets what he's supposed to do, where the mentality breaks down, where the tension comes in, the fear comes in. So to expect a 12-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 17-year-old to be able to manage that all the time is unrealistic. And I think it's important, especially for parents, to understand this, that, when I was watching my son play, I used to get so aggravated when he'd miss like an easy shot. And then I'd go watch a professional tennis match on TV and see the number one person in the world missing that same shot. And it would be a reality check for me as the parent, right? Even Roger Federer misses this shot. How am I expecting my 12-year-old kid to make this shot 100% of the time? That's so stupid. Like, that's unrealistic.
Yes. Because they're not perfect. If you look at, like I said, there's a kid out there, Atticaz from Spain. He's 17 years old.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's already top 50. He's a great player. He's so mature on court. So it's and then they miss the same ball that junior misses sometimes,
right?
But they out. Obviously they talented, they practice every day and to perfect, to have a perfection. But even though they miss, that's fine. I know it's critical, but they go forward. They don't look back. Oh my God, how can I miss this? They don't keep thinking about that. There's no time for it. But in juniors, they sometimes the mental blocks out after they, miss couple points and, a couple of forehands, and they just keep worrying about, oh, my forehand, I don't know if I'm doing it right. They're not thinking about the whole picture, whole match, the whole tactics. I think that's the most important thing, in junior, you gotta, go forward, not look back and saying that, oh, I can't hit forehand, or oh man, I'm so afraid. No, you can't think that, you
Right.
just gotta go forward. Yeah.
Well, I think part of it too is something you mentioned earlier, is this whole idea of trust, right? Having trust in the coach that they're guiding you properly to play the right way in a tournament situation, but also trusting the work that you've done. And I know Todd's talked about this on the podcast before, that whole idea of, if you're only giving partial effort on the practice court, then of course you're not going to have trust in your game when you go to a tournament. So you have to give your best every day in practice so that you learn to trust yourself, trust your skills, trust your fitness, trust your ability to problem solve. And on top of that, trust that the coach is leading you in such a way that you're going to have success when it's time to compete.
Yeah, like I said, the quality, when you working for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or let's say you're hitting for 1 hour, doesn't matter if you're hit for 3 hours or 5 hours, doesn't matter if you do more. If you can just put 100% effort, hitting 1 hour of good focus is better than just mediocre for 3 hours or 5 hours. Even doing fitness, a lot of kids, they say, oh yeah, I'm doing a lot more of fitness, I work, I spend, 2 hours of hitting, 2 hour, hour for fitness, and 2 hours again in the afternoon. That doesn't mean anything. I mean, yeah, you're doing a lot of stuff, yeah, for 5 hours, but how is the quality? Like, how are you putting that effort each day? And if your focus is not good enough each day, and let's say you could put out there 60%, 70% because the workout is too hard, yeah, it might work, just repetition, it might work, but at the end it's not going to be better. The quality, it has to be 100% each day. That's what I'm trying to teach juniors, that even doing fitness, not for 45 seconds, only for 20 seconds, can you do it 100%? I give you everything, just give you everything you got for 100% for 20 seconds with the right form, with the right technique, everything, just your effort and, concentration. And then I give you another, 15-second, 20-second rest. And then we'll do it again for another 20 seconds. Can you just concentrate and focus for that short amount of time, and then get back, rest, and get back again? That's how it is in a tennis match. When you play a match, you get 25-second rest, and then you play a point each time. But they don't give 20% of points, and then they always give 100%. Yeah. So junior, and they think it's tough. Oh, I'm tired, so they lack of concentration. That's what was Todd and Pierre. That's what I trying to get that junior to understand, that quality and focus and the concentration on court.
Yeah, I think that's crucial. When you first started working with Soonwoo, was there a period where you felt like you had to build that trust between player and coach, or did he come in 100% believing in what you were offering him?
Well, obviously, at the beginning, he kind of doubted, coming in all the training that we did, it was tough and all that, but I tried to get him to be more aggressive, sometimes mix with the serve and volley, coming in a little more. And, he told me, he's like, hey, Daniel, I'm a baseline player or that, he's pretty aggressive from the baseline, but, and he was saying that, I'm a baseline, why would I need this, And I told him that against some other players, that you will give them more pressure, and you have to show them that you could have extra game. that, if you hit this return, that I'll be able to finish it off with the, good serving volley and all that. And at the beginning, he kind of doubted. He's like, I don't know if this work, that. But this actually really came out in Biella when he won the tournament in Italy. That I think it was against Musetti in the final. Yeah. He was serving volley a lot there, and he came in a lot, to finish off at the net. But because Musetti had a great backhand, great fun. He's a great clay court player, and from the back, he was kind of giving trouble to Soonwoo. And the whole tournament from the first round, that he was trying to be aggressive, because at the baseline it wasn't working so well. At the baseline, those people was getting the ball back, and he always has to hit another extra shot. And before the match, you always make a strategy and all that against him. When he turn around, show their back, move in. He's quick. He's super quick. So get close in as possible. Try to finish it with the volley, and he has good hands. It's not like he has a bad hand. I mean, the guy has a great hands. He got good touch and everything, but he was afraid to use it. He didn't know when to come in. He didn't know the timing to come in. So we've been working on that, and that really showed off at the Biella, and I was really proud of it, And then after the match, that was a trust, that was it. And then after that, he was you could see the whole year of his game that he was coming in and finish it off with the volley, coming in a good timing, all that. So I was really happy for that. Even on the return, on the second serve, I wanted to be more aggressive, attacking at some times. But, he's not the big guy. He's kind of little, he's not small, but, he's kind of, he's an Asian. So, but, yeah, he was kind of afraid to step in and attacking. Before he liked to, stay way back and hit that return and, get back on the court. But, I told him to, let's mix it up, because he has great hands, he has really fast hands. So let's mix it up a couple of things. And, he did it. And, the opponent was feeling a lot of pressure, and he was winning more points out of that. He was saving more energy, and he was actually winning more points. The percentage was going up, and, and that was the experience. He felt it on the court. So he was believing it, and then the trust was connecting it. I told him, you could have some good experience with some bad experience, but we have to learn from it.
Right.
And he lose, we sees it. He's at the beginning he was really kind of upset, and he tried to blame somebody when you lose a match. He's like, oh yeah, it was this, and it was a core, all that. I told him, hey, you're the one who lost. It's you. There's no excuse, nothing. You got to observe everything. It doesn't matter you lose to some college player. Doesn't matter you lose to someone lower than you. You ended up, it's just you. Just observe everything. We're going to learn from it, and then we're going to just move forward. And, he learned a lot from Eastbourne. It was in June. So since then, he stepped up, and after he changed his mentality and being mature, now we can work on more other things, because he's clear up on the head and the heart. So we could actually work more other stuff, that doesn't have to deal with the mentality and maturity, but yeah.
Well, and I think, again, the takeaway for junior tennis parents from all of this is that the player has to trust the coach has to trust the player, and the parents have to trust both of them to do the work and to put forth the effort to improve, right? And sometimes you're going to backslide a little bit. It happens at all levels of the game, where the player maybe has been winning, and all of a sudden they go into a slump, as you mentioned. But you have to continue to trust the process and trust the player and the coach to work it out and figure a way forward from that.
Yeah, I mean, the trust is pretty much most important thing. And having a conversation with the player and the coach, is, I think, being a tour coach, that's the most important thing. Share and conversation, that what he felt on the court, that's something that I'd probably missed it. And something that I see from outside, what he's not seeing it. And we got to combine that after the match, and we need to understand each other if we were in the same page. And we could go forward after we deal with it,
Right. How do you do that with a junior player in a tournament? And especially if you're not there to watch the match?
Well, I mean, at least if the coach has been with the player a long time, will know how he plays, how his tactics, how, his game, how he will deal with it in critical moments. And the player has to, when, after the match, needs to talk to the coach every time. Doesn't matter, like every time needs to call them and say that he needs to explain to them what happened in the match. Each game, the first game, second game, did you, you got to talk to the coach, and, the player needs to let the coach know how he played and the momentum of the match, and they could figure things out. It's kind of a little difficult if the coach doesn't watch a match, but the best thing is coach to be there and watch the game, and sure. They obviously, but if not, I would say the best thing is to, having a conversation with them and move forward what he needs to work on after that. That's what I did, and that's what Todd did. And because it was kind of expensive for me to travel with the coach and everything, so after the match I was calling Pierre from like Mexico. Hey Pierre, I played this match, this happened, and he always give me a tips like, hey Danny, did you do this in this moment? What happened at 4-all, or what happened at 3-4 that you're serving at here, like what point, the whole thing. And I explained to them, and I explained to Pierre, and he gave me all the tips, and let's work on this, for, into the next tournament. And, he always guide me through, okay, then are you doing fitness, like Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, stuff like that. And, it was tough, but we went through like that.
Well, and I think, one positive that comes out of those types of conversations, if the coach isn't at the match and the player has to call and kind of debrief the coach on the match, is it teaches the player really good communication skills. Because if the coach is truly listening on the other side of the phone, then the coach has an opportunity to ask questions of the player and will hold the player accountable for giving an accurate description of what happened out there, not just, I played terrible today. Well, what does that mean? How, we've been working on this stroke or this shot. How often did you use that? Give me a percentage. Tell me when it was this score, what did you do? Was it the tactic we've been discussing? And it really causes the player to be introspective and to develop the skills to communicate clearly with the coach, which, we all know tennis is this microcosm for life, right? Kids learn skills on the tennis court that translate into all different areas of their adulthood. And this is one of them, that ability to kind of look inside, to understand what happened, and then to communicate it clearly to someone who not only is vested in the player being successful, but also has the ability to analyze the information that the player is giving them and guide them into the next match.
I mean, that's why the coach and the player needs to be trusted really well. Otherwise, the player probably doesn't want to speak about the match, and they could just say, oh, it was just bad match. That's all they say, like there's no detail to it. And player needs to remember the match. Some players, some juniors, they don't remember the match, what happened. They think that, I just couldn't hit a backhand, I couldn't hit a serve. That's all they remember. They don't remember what they did or, how they need to play. And when player talking to the coach, they don't remember what happened. They're like, oh, if the coach asks, it's like, hey, what did you do here at the moment? You're like, did you use, the, high, heavy forehand and, did you attack him, to that? And they're like, they don't remember what happened.
Yeah.
They thought about, man, I'm going to lose to this guy. I lost to him, like they don't remember the whole thing.
Right.
But that's the thing that they should learn from. And, that's what they need to develop, on the match strategy and tactics, what they're going to do, the moving forward, to remember, like, your match, how the game is going, so they can have a conversation with the coach. For the player wise, they need to have that. They need to remember that.
Right. So it's all about trust. It's all about good communication, and it's all about good work effort on a daily basis. And
consistency.
If you put all those things together, then the player's going to be able to reach their potential, whatever that is. And it differs player to player.
Yeah, I mean, every player has different talent. Maybe some player, good talent with a good quality tennis and training, they could reach higher level, but some player maybe not. But to have that, they're gonna reach the highest potential that they can get. That's what I believe. And player has different stuff, but having those, it will make you better athlete. And if the player decided to play tennis, and that's the high level you can get through it with this. Yeah. But without that, you'll be just you will just up and downs. There will be a lot of up and downs.
Right. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your experience and your knowledge and your wisdom with all of us at Parenting Aces. It's nice to finally meet you, and hopefully we'll get to meet in person one day.
Yes. Thank you, Lisa.
It's been great. And hi, Todd. And to the Parenting Aces audience, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time on Parenting Aces.